Hi, my name's Sam Berkow from SIA Acoustics, a division of RDA, and I'm sitting here on the stage at VIX Las Vegas, a local jazz club that I'm fortunate enough to be part of the design team for. Sitting with Richard Lenz, the founder of RealAcoustix, manufacturer based in Utah, who makes sound absorption, diffusion, scattering, all sorts of bass mods, bass mod 2S, S2, bass mod S2s, and Fluttermax, a wide range of acoustical products. VIX is a jazz venue based here in Las Vegas, and we're diagonally across the street from the Smith Center, so a little ways off the strip, north of the strip. And it's a wonderful place to come hear a set of jazz, have some dinner, have some drinks, and enjoy the atmosphere. When I was approached to join the design team, the owner of VIX said we really want it to be a great sounding room for our audience. And I came back with, we want it to be a great sounding room for three separate groups of people: your audience, your performers, and your production team that may be bringing events to the audience outside of this, the recording team, whether that's AV and streaming or new. So one of the things when you expand the definition from just great sound for the audience or great sound for the performers, you have to start thinking about what performers hear and feel on stage. And we found two critical things are creating a diffuse field, which makes it easier for each musician to hear each other. And also by bringing diffusive elements onto the stage, we're able to make the room more comfortable for microphones.
Right.
Microphones hear reflections of sound in a way that's much more apparent and destructive than humans, because humans, our brains filter out a lot of the comb filtering effects. Not all of them, but why don't you hear sound bouncing off of every tabletop? Effectively you do, but your brain processes it into a small tonal shift, and it doesn't really matter. If we see the wall behind us here, it's filled with 8, 10 good panels that are, each one is 4 by 2 by 2 inches thick. And the good panel diffuses from about 750 hertz up to 8-9K. It also provides very little absorption. So a lot of the absorption on this stage comes from the heavy 22-ounce velour curtain behind us, and from a number of bass mods and other low-frequency absorptive materials and diffusive materials above the stage.
I think one of the things that makes this interesting for me, and I come from the music world, and I was a sound engineer for years. I was a musician before that. We're going back a long time, but it's very unusual in my experience. It's very unusual for anybody that owns a nightclub to care what the stage is, and that's just the honest truth. Unless it's a very high, well-known vehicle or something like that, like you get into jazz and some of the stuff you've done. But it's really interesting to me and to see this kind of venue put the time and the money into making the venue sound great, to make the stage sound great, because the more comfortable a musician is, the better they're going to play.
For sure.
And when I look at these canted walls and how you enveloped, I get what you did, how you envelop the sound into so that it's going both directions, that they're hearing each other, that there is such, I haven't played on this stage, but I can imagine how well the musicians love it, and because of the way, the time you took to figure it out,
right.
it's a pleasure to me to see that in this, especially in a venue this size.
We've been playing with the stage acoustics, and when I started out in acoustics, my first job was with Russell Johnson, the great concert hall designer. And there was a wonderful group of acousticians working at Artec at the time. And there was a lot of discussion about using acoustical canopies to create strong reflections, so you could have cross-stage communication for a symphony orchestra. Well, I knew that that wasn't what we really wanted for rock and roll, right? Inherently, we wanted to get rid of all those reflections. We didn't need cross-stage communications. We had monitors on stage, and Marty Garcia came along with other people and introduced in-ear monitors, which are some of the best things to happen to to rock venues and larger venues. But in smaller venues, when a lot of the energy coming off the stage is reaching the audience, and your sound system is really for balance and to make it louder, it's reinforcement. It's not what you're at Madison Square Garden. You're just listening to the sound system. You know, in VIX, you're listening to the musicians and the sound system, and the sound system's there for vocalists so they can keep up with drums, and you can play with some power, and the vibraphone over there can keep up with the bass, and you have to create that balance somehow. And audiences want a bigger than acoustic sound for the most part. By creating stages that have both diffusion and low frequency absorption, you're making it easier for the musicians to hear each other. You don't get into that endless cycle of, I can't hear, so I'm going to turn my instrument up, I'm going to play louder, and everyone becomes a cacophony at some point.
Right.
That's what we've tried to avoid, and I think this approach has been really effective, whether it's the SF Jazz Center, which has an upstage wall that has both studio level acoustics, or an acoustical canopy that has really mid-low frequency diffusers and absorption in it above the stage, quite a lot of diffusion above that stage. The number of Brooklyn Bowl venues where we've put low frequency absorbers on the upstage wall behind the curtain to extend its absorptive capabilities down into the 50, 60, even 40 hertz range.
Right.
So the use of diffusion is not just for studio control rooms anymore. It's not just for breakfast anymore, Richard.
It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So.
Right. What's really impressive is how much more comfortable the sound reaching the mics is on a stage where you've gotten rid of a lot of the low end sort of sound that we really don't want on stage, and really clogs people's hearing from hearing the nuance and tone of the melodic instruments.
Yeah, and it almost doesn't matter what type of music it is. I mean, it can be, low frequencies, because they propagate so much. If you can really control those, it's going to make everybody on stage much happier.
Great. I think that one way of thinking about it is the use of cardioid subwoofers has been a major topic over the past 25 years. And from very few people offering a cardioid subwoofer product to everyone offering a cardioid subwoofer product. But the idea of reducing the amount of low frequency energy on the stage, but giving the musicians a cleaner environment to work in, and for the mics to not have to be low cut as severely, really helps the sound for everybody.
Well, it makes it a lot better on the sound engineer as well. Having been in that world, it's, I wish I was mixing back in those days, in these days, as opposed to, when we had digital consoles now, and we had analog everything and all that, that's the great progress that's been made in the music world.
I think so. And I'd like to think that for people doing venues up to 1,500 to 2,000 seats, doing effective low frequency absorption on or around the stage is becoming a higher priority. So in summary, I think that we've shifted from Russell Johnson and the acousticians and room designers of his era, thinking that what really matters is making it sound good for the audience and for the performers, the orchestral performers, to thinking about making it make the designing rooms so that the audience hears something that's uniform across the audience. The performers can hear each other on the stage without loud monitors, and the production team can get clean and wonderful recordings that they can send however they're going to send them to the expanded audience. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.